Terry Abbasi with the Miah brothers. Assalamu alaikum, boys. We are at the Legal Blows Muslim Boxing Awards 2025. I know last year all of us were here last year as well, so we had a bit of a taste of what it was like. But this year, what's your experience been like tonight?
Walaikum salam, bro. This year it's a lot bigger, a lot better than last year was, mashallah, alhamdulillah. And inshallah, I look forward to how it is going to be next year as well.
It's been great, even bigger turnout than last year. More Muslim boxers coming up. We're slowly taking over, alhamdulillah. It's great to see that the community just continues to grow.
Obviously, last year we had quite an in-depth conversation off camera about yourselves and your background, how you got into boxing. Yourself, you're at super middleweight. Adil, you're at light heavyweight. You're tearing it up in the amateurs. I see your videos all the time on Instagram. You're active on social media, promoting yourselves, getting yourselves out there, and showing people what you can do. Obviously, seen you've launched a little clothing line as well. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so alhamdulillah, we're growing in the amateur scene, gaining the experience and looking to turn professional. At the moment, it's all about just learning, and I see it from a business perspective too, not just as an athlete, but as a businessman. We have to grow our platform, try to reach out to as many people as we can, and use our influence for the better, inshallah.
Exactly what you said. We're trying to keep we're growing in our sport, we're learning, we're practicing, we're training hard, as you should, as every boxer does. We want to be a little bit different. We understand that the market inside of boxing is also really important. You've got to market yourself, we've got to build a platform that we can, inspire people with, that we can help the community with, that we can do our part with. So it's more than just boxing, and that's where all of the clothing, the social media all comes into play.
No doubt, and I think, again, this reminds me of what we spoke about last year. We said about you need to get yourselves out there, people need to know your story, obviously you're both brothers, you're both boxers, that's already a good story in itself, but the fact that, we get to know your personalities, know your story, that's when people start to buy into you, and that's when you get a following, and you guys have taken that on board, obviously. You're doing that anyway, but even more so now, so it's good to see. Talk to me a little bit about the current scene with whether professional or amateur, like you mentioned, a lot of Muslim boxers coming through, a lot of Asian boxers coming through as well. What's the sort of the feeling at the moment? Do we believe that in the UK that the Muslim boxers, the Asian boxers, whatever country they're from, ethnically, are taking over the sport essentially and really pushing themselves to the top of the top echelon of the sport in boxing?
Yeah, mashallah, yeah, we've got a lot of good brothers coming through. As a Muslim, I'm proud to see it, honestly. Just we're killing it right now, we're smashing it, and we're only growing as a as an ummah in boxing, and yeah, alhamdulillah, we hope to add to that, and as we move on to the professional ranks, do our part too.
Yeah, with Allah on your side, we can't be beaten. With Allah on our side, we can't be beaten. Keeping our faith, working hard, trusting in Allah, that's just what it's all about.
Okay, and in terms of yourselves, obviously you're both in the amateurs at the moment. You're still sort of learning your trade there, doing your thing there, racking up the wins. I think, again, the conversation we had last year, we spoke about, potentially having conversations with promoters and looking at the right time to turn pro. How long can we expect to see you before we see you in the pro game, essentially?
We want to go pro within this year. Inshallah. We've gained a great amount of experience from sparring, from fights, from tournament. We fought abroad, we fought internationally, across Europe, nationally, high level. We sparred some of the greatest world champions, some of the great pros out there in this world. So we really just want to turn over pro and start making noise in the pro scene now.
Yeah, as my brother said, I think we're at a stage now where we think we've developed as boxers and we're ready to turn over, sparring the professionals, getting a taste of what it's like, and yeah, I think now's the right time to turn over.
Just to pick up where we sort of left off there, talking about what your goals are moving forward in the amateurs and when we can expect you to turn pro. What's the long-term aim for you two? Some people look for titles, some people look for money. Have you got a specific goal, or are you just seeing where the sport takes you?
Me personally, my goal is just to be the best version of myself. So I'm just in a constant pursuit, whether that's a world title, whether that's multiple world titles, or even winning in multiple weight classes. I just want to be the best version of myself, and I want to find out how far I can truly go in the sport and just give it my all, inshallah.
I think if you're a fighter and you're aiming for silver, you're not even going to get a bronze. You have to aim for the top and keep your eyes on the prize always. If you're already thinking about, this isn't the right sport. I think every single fighter here is aiming for the top, and it's all about trusting in Allah's plan. Whatever Allah has written for us, that is what we will be given, right? So inshallah, we do want to take it. Well, I speak for myself, and I'm sure I speak for my brother. We want to take it to the highest level possible, inshallah.
Talk to me a bit about what we've seen currently in the last year and a half. We've seen a big push from Saudi Arabia with Riyadh season. Massive cards, the best fighting the best. People's O's are no longer protected. Essentially, they're encouraging everyone to get in and risk it. Even the people that have lost in good fights are coming back and getting big fights straight away. So it shows that it gives you an incentive to take on the tough challenges and come back and fight the next tough challenge and get a big payday as well. Do you think Saudi is a long-term good thing for the sport, or do you think it's just something that's going to be around for a little while and then sort of phase away, like with a lot of things in boxing?
100%. No, I think Turkey Al-Sheikh, His Excellency, is doing a good job for boxing, bringing boxing back, making the good fights happen. We're not waiting around for these fights anymore. They're happening. And I think long-term, obviously we're seeing it bang in the short term. Even in the long term, I think it will excel. Like, it's just the best version of boxing we're getting right now. As fans, as fighters, you can't hate on it, honestly. There's nothing but good coming from this.
Like, listen, Mayweather was a great boxer, but he was horrible for what he's done to boxing. The whole undefeated thing. Listen, what Turkey is doing, he's implementing a similar thing to what UFC's got. A loss really doesn't matter. A loss doesn't prove anything. You can keep going, keep getting up. And Turkey's really giving fighters that have lost a chance to keep coming back. He's making the best fight the best. The fans are happy. The boxers are happy. As a fighter, you want to test yourself against the best. So I really think that it's great what he's doing. And inshallah, when we get our chance to step up onto that stage, challenging the best, fighting the best, I think that's what the fans will want to see.
The reason I asked that was because recently they announced a WBC Grand Prix. I don't know if you ever saw anything about that. It's aimed at prospects, certain age, certain amount of fights. Doesn't matter how many you've won, how many you've lost. But it's about giving the prospects a chance to get in there and make a name for themselves and sort of promote them. That'll be starting, I think, week of April 17th, so it's about a month away. There's a few different weight categories: middleweight, heavyweight, featherweight, and super lightweight. So it's a wide array of weight classes. I think it's about 140 odd fighters from all across the world being brought to Riyadh essentially to fight on, I think, eight cards over the duration of maybe 15 months. So it's about over a year, and it's encouraging the prospects and trying to bring through the next generation of stars essentially. For yourselves, in the next year, you're saying you're going to turn pro. Would you sort of jump at an opportunity like that came around in the next year or two?
100%. I would love that opportunity. Just as my brother mentioned earlier, to test ourselves, to be on that platform, to be on that stage. It'd just be a great opportunity. And I'd be silly not to take it. And I think any fighter would take it. Any fighter who wants the best in their career, who wants the best for boxing, will take an opportunity like that.
Every young fighter is hoping for an opportunity like that. Every up-and-coming fighter is hoping for an opportunity to prove themselves. Right now, the problem is boxers aren't getting enough opportunity to prove themselves. It's the ones who can sell the most tickets or the ones who have got the biggest social media following, and not the fighters who are working the hardest that get the biggest shots. That's why there's probably greater fighters out there in the gym in some country like Mexico that we've never heard of that are getting these opportunities that aren't getting these opportunities that other fighters are. So shows like this really give young boxers the chance to come up and do their thing.
The thing with you two that I like is that you're sort of very mature and you're wise for your years, if that makes sense. The things you come out with, they're very sensible and logically they make sense because you talk about the sport as it is, not in an idealistic way. You call it for what it is, essentially. So that's good to see. You got your head screwed on, essentially. Just to finish up, obviously yesterday we heard the sad news of big George Foreman passing away, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. One of the greatest heavyweights of all time, the oldest heavyweight champion of all time as well. Just your thoughts on the legacy of Big George Foreman and how he's transcended the sport.
Oh, George Foreman, just one of the, like you said, the greatest heavyweights. He's given us so many fights, even though we weren't around in the times he was fighting and in his prime. It's just sad to see one of those greats pass away, and he's left his legacy behind. He's going to be remembered for all those great fights, Rumble in the Jungle, etc. All of these fights that he's in, and it's something for us to aspire to as well, and hopefully try to build something similar to what he did.
Exactly what my brother said. If we can leave a legacy behind, even close to what George Foreman did, we'll be happy. Leave that legacy behind for the future generations and inspire the youth. Even after his death, he'll continue to inspire for years to come, and that's what the goal is.
Well, I just want to say a massive thank you, and hopefully we'll catch up with you guys before you turn pro, and then look forward to following both your careers when you're professionals as well. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.
Thank you.